Hi everyone, Jim Mantegna from the campus library here. Just a quick video to get you started on your ART201 research project for Professor Jones. We will be sending out a link to a research guide, which is basically a mini web page to show you where to get to the right resources on the library site, and also how to request articles from scholarly search engines like Google Scholar. So I'm going to share my screen just to show you, to start out, what we're going to be looking for. So this is an example of a an art research article from a journal called Studies in Iconography. So these are publications that have articles written by art scholars, people who study art. They're not encyclopedias, they're not websites, they're not easy to find, and they're usually not free except for certain instances. So what I'll be doing is just showing you how not to waste a lot of time and just kind of start browsing to see what we can find. Now, you usually start out where you pick out a certain artwork, could be a painting or a sculpture from a certain time period. And what you'll do initially is get a little background information, right? Who is the artist? Do we know the artist? What was the type of art that you're looking at? What art period is it from? What kind of techniques? What kind of materials? What was the context of the work that you've chosen? In other words, what did it mean to uh, people or civilization at the time that it was produced, right? How did it build on art or expression that came before it? These are all questions, aspects that you need serious researchers to look at all of these aspects, right? So you'll just build on your background knowledge by reading through what we can find from experts. Now, you won't find an article for every artwork, every piece of artwork, right? Um, this happens a lot. Students will come in the library and say, I need 3 articles on a certain painting. Well, there might be articles on other paintings by that artist. So some of you will have maybe a lot of articles on a certain work. Some of you might have to expand and look at the type of work that you've chosen if there isn't an article on the individual. So you can talk to Professor Jones about that or myself. So where do we start? Well, I'm just going to show you that in your portal page, you have a quick links bar for the library. So if you go in your portal page to the left, click on NCC Library, that will bring you here. One important thing on this page is library chat. So all the way up here is this tiny little, the library's closed now, so this is not popping out, but usually when we're open, you'll see that this will come out and say that there's a librarian live. Do you have any questions? This is powerful because you might just be stuck, or you're looking for a certain type of article, or you're kind of lost. You will have my contact, right? So uh, you'll have a link to the research guide, and I'll show you a little preview of that. I'll probably also make some kind of a handout so you could just follow the handout just to get started. And as I said before, always reach out if you're not sure about the topic or you're having trouble finding anything. I'm just going to demonstrate, just a few examples of having maybe an artist or type of art. But this chat widget, this will be, you can get an instant answer to a question, or that can be converted to a Zoom session, especially for when you have an asynchronous class like this. This is like your virtual reference desk. Um, so the research guides link here, if I click there, there are research guides for all different subject areas, because library has a lot of resources, but not all of them are really useful for certain subject areas. So just to save time, we click on art, and you'll see that there's an Art 201 guide for Professor Jones here. And this just has an opening page and a couple of tabs just to help you, kind of know where to go. There's a tab here about keyword searching, how to plug keywords into a database. When I say keywords, when we're searching for articles from these academic journals, like I showed you in the beginning from JSTOR, this type of a journal, you are generally going to be looking for, are there articles on my painting or sculpture, right? Or other work? Are there articles on, if not my particular work, articles on my artist, my chosen artist, articles on the movement or the type of art that my artist works in, or the period that, or it was he or she part of a school, right? So these are all, at some point, you're going to want to find out something specific, and we just plug in keywords, meaning just the basic concept. So, and I'll show you an example of that. It makes more sense when you actually do it. So, the research guide, the most important link is the article and databases, right? So I click on articles, databases, and I have in order of importance the links that you'd want to look at. So just to give you a quick overview, the articles on art in the library are generally in JSTOR Arts and Sciences. That's a database that has a lot of art journals. And for those of you doing ancient art, has a lot of archaeology, anthropology, things that kind of cross over, different ways of looking at ancient art, and also, medieval art, different art, and even some archaeology and religious type publications. So JSTOR is a database. We also I have a tab for Google Scholar. So Google Scholar is Google's search engine for those academic journals, right? It's not looking at websites. Some people don't, a lot of people have heard of it, but a lot of people don't use Google Scholar. They're just looking for quick information from websites. So Smart History is an example of a website, right? So that's just your background information, not really going to get your serious research here, but you're going to get some ideas. So here's just an overview of the medieval artist Cimabue. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Cimabue, I think. So, and what this article does is just give you just that. I'm new to this. I don't know. Can you get me up to speed on the, everything I mentioned before, the style, the kinds of paint, who would be viewing these paintings and where, what was the purpose of them, and what was their influence in their importance in the world of art and art history? How did they build on what came before? All of that. What did this painting mean, or what were the themes in this artist's painting? So I go to JSTOR, and when I click the database and go back to the research guide quickly. So that was Google Scholar. I'll get back to that in a minute. So articles database is the first database at JSTOR. That opens up the home page. You get a search bar. What I recommend is doing an advanced search. You click advanced search. You'll see this with a lot of databases, just in library research in general. So now I have not just one search box, I have a couple of search boxes. Now, what I like to do is, if I have a certain artwork or an artist, I want to see, are there articles where my art, and sometimes with early medieval ancient works. I just know as a librarian, I'm not an expert in this at all, but I noticed that sometimes titles are not as rigid or as common as more contemporary art or 18th century, 17th century art. People know artworks by a certain title, but I've noticed with ancient and early medieval, there might be uh, an official title or not, or some common title that researchers refer to, but it doesn't always show up in the database. So sometimes you have to just put the artist in and maybe some clue about the work or the type of work. So we were just looking on Smart History at an art piece of art that had the Madonna and child. So I could put Madonna. I can add a row, child. So notice I'm not just saying, uh, you know, what was Cimabue's, what were his paintings that had a Madonna and child. You don't want to type anything like that. You just want to put concepts. That's what we say with keywords. Each box will have a concept. My first box could be if I come to a certain artwork that has a title, or if you can find your artwork, you can put that in here. So these are just 3 keywords. I just want to see if anything shows up. So now I just click Submit Advanced Search. And the database gives me almost 800 articles. So this is, now not all of these are going to be exactly on what you want. Some of them might just mention the artist briefly, but they are, you can see just from the titles here that we're in the right area now, but they are kind of broad. So what we want to do eventually is, first of all, I like to start broad and take some time, be patient, browse through what you're seeing, and then look at, if you open up an article, like this is Byzantine Madonnas, right? So I'd want to just maybe take a look at that. And this is going to open up what's called a PDF. So this is a scanned image of the document or the article it's like having the journal open, right? So you can take a little preview. Sometimes you'll see an abstract, right? Which is just a summary of what the article is about. And you'll start getting, you could see the artist's name here. Cimabue is right here in this middle column. Maybe just get an idea of what these articles are about and why this artist or a certain work is coming up. And then what you could do is go back to advanced search, right? And you can put, I'm sorry, I meant to say modify search, but so if I put the artist in, sometimes I like to see if the artist's name or the artwork, the title of the artwork is in the title, right? Item title. So here I can click Submit Advanced Search. And you can see that now I have almost every article has the artist's name in the title. Then what you could do is search within these results. So I can put in Madonna, right? And so now I'm locating the artist and a certain work or a certain type of work. He might have done more than one because of all the religious paintings at this time. So that's 37 out of all those hundreds of articles that have the artist's name in the title and a discussion of these works. And you can see that here is Cimabue's gesture and a Madonna and child. So that's getting right in your area. So just be aware that Madonna and Child can be a lot of different works, right? So you'd want to tie that to the artist in some way. And then from there, you can go to modify search here. And just one second, let's put the spotlight on. So modify search, and you can put maybe a different, like, if you're looking for maybe like Byzantine influence, right? You're just trying a keyword. It might work, it might not. So now I want the artist name, and I want some discussion of the Byzantine influence, right? So that's, I can go back. There's 14 results here. So let me just show you if you click on an article and it looks like something that is close to what you want. You can click on download, right? And or save, right? So there's always a download where you can just download to your device or download and then email it to yourself. There's a site link here because at some point you'll be doing your citation, and that will be maybe a separate discussion. But if you click there, you'll see that here's an MLA citation for your works cited page. So any article you use, you're going to have an entry like this for each one, and they'll go in alphabetical order by whatever the first letter is in the whole entry. If it's uh, a title or an author, right? So, and I can go back to my results and go to another article. Click on, say, here. Notice these are all journal articles. You will sometimes get a book chapter in here, right? So here's a journal article, or at least 3 pages of a journal article. And you can see the author here. And this is a scholar that works at a museum. Actually, this is an exhibition review. So let's go back to my results. So you also modify search. You can take, when you're doing this kind of search and you're looking for, say, a certain topic or a theme, like humanism, then go and take the author out of having to be in the title, and all fields is the default. So just pay attention to that, because you might say, I'm not getting any, and then you forget that you had. So if I put all fields, Cimabue, and I put humanism, and I click submit advanced search, then I'm going to get more articles, right? Now I'm up to 285. Then you could you're seeing a lot of humanist and Renaissance. Here you could go in and put maybe Madonna, right? And that brings up 104. So, I'm not going to go further with this. You want to just get started. We could maybe do a part 2 of this where we reach out. I can help you online on Zoom, and I can talk to Professor Jones if I need help in helping you, right? So, same thing with ancient art. I can start from scratch, and I can put advanced search and add a row. Say an ancient artist like Ezekias, I can go back and say, is the artist in the title? Submit advanced search, right? 23 in the whole database that have Exekias in the title. So the other nice thing about JSTOR is if you start out just putting, let me just go back for a minute. So when you start out, you can just put an artwork or I guess like an artist, an artwork. If you're not finding your artwork or the name of it, you can put, say, a certain type of artwork, black figure vase painting, and try to discuss a work. So this would be a general category, right? So if you can find a category of the work you're interested in, if you're not finding the actual title or articles on it, you could do this and then work your way from here to search within, right? So you can do like black figure vase painting, and you can put, just move this over here. Mythological narrative. And then, that brings the results down a little bit and you can work from there. So now going back to Google Scholars, that's just really how to use a keyword, search within, just try different limiters. You can do an advanced search. And then when you do an advanced search, you get a chance to modify your search, right? So and if it's an ancient artwork, you might have to put the artist and a few different words from the name of the work, right? Now, nice thing about JSTOR is that it's married to another database called ART201. So ART201, and there's a link for that on the research guide. ART201 is nice because it has very high resolution images. So these are good for using in a project, or if you want to, you're doing some kind of a presentation, or as part of this project, or just to simply click on and be able to really zoom in on a work, right? So it's got these very beautiful high resolution images, so you can it's like you're in the museum and leaning in closer than you can usually in a museum, right? So that's one nice thing about JSTOR. And from here, you can go look for titles, right? So that's, probably more than you need for JSTOR right now. So if I go to articles and databases and I click on the Google Scholar, now go over to this tab, there's other databases here that might come into play, right? But Google Scholar, the reason we like Google Scholar is that it can be tied to I show you here how to tie it to our databases. So there's something called settings. So if I click Google Scholar, the instructions that we were just looking at are basically tell you to go up to the settings, click library links, put Nassau Community College, then Google will search our databases to see if we can click save, pull any full text links out of there. Now, Google Scholar, same thing, putting keywords in, artist, concept, or school or style. You can put name of a work or group of works. So, I put an artist, I put a certain style or movement or period, and I put in subject matter, which a lot of times is title. And then what happens is Google Scholar will give me a list of articles and something like this kind of a group of keywords, being that this is not, you know, this is kind of a specialized search. It's not, it's understandable that you would get 8 articles. Anything with a PDF link is either free online or Google Scholar has found it in our database. So if I click PDF here, we saw in JSTOR that we were able to open up PDFs, which are portable document format. I mentioned before that it's a scanned image of the document in its original journal. So here, you have the article with the original page number. So this becomes important when you're at some point you're citing a work. Now, there is a citation link, which can be this also will give you this is a thesis, right? So notice that when I click cite, it kind of gives me a little more information about the kind of work. So here is a book chapter. So if it's bringing up a book or a book chapter, you'll see a little thing here. Usually means that it's scholarly, something that's from an academic press. So you can look at those. If it looks like a full article, you don't want something that's like a page. So, but notice that because I only have 8 articles here, now this article here, before I do anything else, this does not have a PDF full text link. But if you open this, a lot of times you get a preview or an abstract. You just won't have the full article. But the good news is that there's something called interlibrary loans. If I go to the library website and I click on getting materials from other libraries, I get this interlibrary loan and something called Iliad, very fitting for ancient history. So you can log in here with your N number and your portal password. Anytime you're asked to log in, when you click on JSTOR, like I did to start out, you'll be asked to log in. So I just click on log into Iliad, and you'll see that it brings up a request. And usually you'll be requesting one of those journal articles in JSTOR, right? So what you would do is do an article request, new request, article, and this is something I can help you with. It's not that hard. Just put in the information you have with Google Scholar, the title of the article. Usually, if it's a journal article, I have a volume and an issue. And I'll give an example of how to fill this out on the LibGuide. We're still kind of finishing that up. And so that's Google Scholar, how you would work your way through that. So once again, here's my portal page, NCC Library. You have the library hours here and the chat widget, which will be live during these hours. If not, you just put in an asynchronous request and we get back to you. That can be converted to Zoom. You're going to have questions. You also have my email, so please reach out to me. So once again, I went to research guides just to review. I went to art. And you're not going to need to go through all these steps because I'm going to give you a handout that has the actual link, or this will probably be in Brightspace. You'll get right to this page. So all you have to do is remember to start here. Articles, databases, humanities source is where you would put in. This is a general database that looks a little different than JSTOR because JSTOR is all peer-reviewed PDFs. Humanities source is where you'd put in the name of a work, or as I said before, you might not find anything on the work that you're looking for. So uh, what you want to do with this database is click peer reviewed and full text. And you see that I am finding some articles that look like it's about the work called Terracotta Army, ancient work. It's not going to have as many as JSTOR or Google Scholar, but you'll be able to just look uh, through what, maybe find one or two articles. You also can deselect. So full text means what can I download right now? If you deselect full text, you can now go and, there'll be a full text finder link. So notice that some of these have access PDF now, and you click there. This means you'll have the full article, so you can see it's a journal article. Journal articles have these, abstract introduction, different. Those of you who might not be used to this. Then up here you can download, print, share. The arrow is how to save this. So everything we're doing, once you find an article or put some keywords in, don't think you're going to remember how to get back. So just try to save. So by emailing or downloading, somehow just save an article that you find, right? Because this happens a lot where you can't get back to where you were. So here is, and once again, so the share has email. I can email this to myself by clicking here, and then sending gets me right back to the article, full text. I could download or I could print. Here's your citation. This is your great citation tool where I can go down to MLA and this be hidden here. Drop down here and go down to MLA. And then here is your works cited. Here we do have an author, Glenda Chow. We have the title and then the name of the Journal of Archaeology. So once again, if you see something that we don't have full text, you might see, let's see. So here is an article that doesn't say full text. And so with JSTOR, you can go, so here it's saying it's finding it in another database. So just follow the links. It might say interlibrary loan. When you click on it, it'll open up an interloan request, right? So let me just see if this one. So all these are I'm finding by following the links that I'm getting to a work. But then, so with Humanities Source, you're probably not going to be putting in a lot of different keywords about an artwork and different styles, right? You're looking for, so that's where I would just get started with JSTOR. And then from JSTOR, keep a list of different keywords you're using to build some kind of a analysis of your artwork from these journals, and each one will give you some other ideas of themes like humanism, iconography, just giving you examples of things I'd want to write down if I see it. Other artists that they compare to. Then you go to Google Scholar and you know what kind of keywords to put in there. And so that is where I'll leave it right now. And maybe there'll be a part two of this about citing. And once again, please reach out. You'll have my email address. Okay, so I'm going to stop share and good luck and hope this wasn't too much information, or I hope it was somewhat clear. Thanks again.